Hello, fellow marketers. I'm Brian Bowie, and welcome to another episode of Directive R&D. Today, I have another guest. Going to welcome Josh Nelson back to the lab, Innovation Manager at Directive. Josh, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for joining us again. We've talked a lot about paid media. We've gone into account structures within Google Ads. Now we're going to go into account structure for LinkedIn and our recommended, way to set up LinkedIn campaigns that we've seen to improve budget efficiency and results. So yeah, I'm just going to dive in straight to it. So I'm going to share my screen here. Got a little deck and get started. So Josh, single persona campaigns, is there something that you'd compare it to? Or like, how did we come up with this?
Yeah, I mean, single persona campaigns, I would compare them most closely to like an alpha beta setup in Google Ads because it follows that same sort of segmentation process where you start off with like a bigger audience pool in a separate campaign, and you start to pull out those winners. And in searches little area, it's going to be keywords that you're pulling out.
Mm-hmm.
But in LinkedIn and with single persona campaigns, you're pulling out those personas that are like very high engaged.
That makes sense. Cool. Yeah. As with all things, we like to have a framework for how we continually get better. And this is kind of a look at our approach for LinkedIn advertising for SaaS. And as we know, with a complex buying journey within SaaS, it's good to map your content to different ICPs, ideal customer personas or profiles, and also aligning your different offers at the different stages. And that's kind of where we like to start, mapping out your content and planning all of that out. And having a good structure for your LinkedIn ad campaigns and your account or your campaign structure overall sets you up for success. So part of that, I'll pass it to you, Josh. What are some things that we get out of single persona campaigns?
Um, Really, I mean, what you're getting is just maximizing the focus on the personas that are performing well within your account. So there's a number of ways to like identify them,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll get to them a little bit later. But what the end result should be is just having unique ad copy and creative and an offer that makes sense for whatever that persona is. That is like that standout persona from like the more generalized TAM campaigns that you're running.
Got it. That makes sense. Let's dive into some like live examples. Um, so, like we mentioned, it's kind of straightforward. Um, what is an organized single persona campaign structure look like in LinkedIn? Like, would you be labeling your campaigns based on its targeting, and how would you kind of set that up?
Yeah, so naming convention wise, we like to do it based off of whatever the offer is and who that persona is. So if it's like childcare directors
Mm-hmm.
and trend report, so just making sure that it's very lined up that way, um, and it's just makes sense for just the whole naming convention throughout the account.
Yeah, and I think one of the call outs here is, of course, unique personalized ad copy, and you can segment it down as much as you want. Maybe it's managers or higher level executives, but one of the advantages we've seen is to call out within the description or even the headlines who you're trying to go after or speak to a pain point that they care about the most, either within the visual or the copy or even the offer. And that's just a better way to organize your campaigns with content and offers that map the most that are the most aligned with the needs of that ICP. Um, cool. So, would you recommend having separate campaigns for the same persona? Say I'm going after an IT director. Do you recommend like having separate campaign for like top of funnel things, middle funnel, bottom funnel, remarketing, or should it all be bucketed into like one campaign?
I personally, I would bucket it into its own campaigns, and if you have like a separate like top funnel offer, middle funnel, bottom funnel,
Mm-hmm.
have that differentiation be within the ads that you're actually running there. So you'll have like one ad version is top funnel, one ad version is bottom funnel, and so on and so forth. And
Mm-hmm.
then just make those adjustments with the naming conventions. And really just the core idea with single persona campaigns is that you're speaking directly to that one persona, and
Hmm.
everything is personalized from there. So if you're able to do that um, without having to spin up new campaigns,
Yeah,
by all means, go for it. It's just going to make things a lot more easier to manage.
that makes sense. And call out here, this is a option to use a LinkedIn lead gen form. Highly recommend it. And look into that. Maybe a separate video we'll do on that. Just a simple tip we like to do just to reduce friction in that ad experience for that user. But yeah, these are just two quick examples we have here on how we can like call out to a particular persona and say, hey, directors, you need this, and this is why. And this is a piece of content that will help you out. So how, like with single keyword ad groups, like with alpha beta, how do you like keep improving the campaign results over time? You know, how do you not run into walls?
Um, it's really just all about testing.
Mm-hmm.
So once you throw something into the market and test it out, then you just have to make sure that you're um, keeping an eye on how it's performing
Right.
within just the overall campaign buckets, the ads that you're running, and then at the level that we're talking about in this instance, how each of the personas, how the audience is reacting to it. So using the demographics report in LinkedIn is going to be one of your best friends in this situation. So you can
Mm-hmm.
understand how each job function is reacting to it, how job titles, how different companies and industries are reacting to the creative putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make those decisions whether or not you want to start pulling out certain personas and segmenting those top performers into their own campaigns.
Yeah, that makes like a ton of sense. So it's similar to like keyword mining or search term mining to look for positive and negative indicators of like, winners and losers. Same thing, but you'll be doing it across different firmographic views, where you're looking for positive exclusion or positive additions. So say a certain job title or function is performing very well, you might be able to segment them out and like maximize budget for them, right?
Mhm.
Um, and on the flip side, you can continue adding exclusions for titles, functions, industries that don't work, and suppress them by excluding them or just removing them from your targeting strategy altogether. So, yeah, just one way to consistently analyze the results using the demographic reports. If you want to know how to use it, just click on one of the campaigns on the left side, the bubble, and then click campaign performance. You can group together different personas or campaign types that you want to analyze. But yeah, a necessary thing to do this, though, we're going to lead into it, is the Insights pixel. So can you tell me a little bit about this and why we highly recommend it, even if you're not even using LinkedIn ads?
Yeah, the Insights pixel, it's similar to like Google Analytics's pixel or any sort of like just base pixel.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does is you just install on your site. It's like any other tag, and you start setting up web audiences. And within your LinkedIn account, you're actually going to be able to see who those people are, what those firmographic and B2B sort of information on who's actually visiting your site, who's going to certain pages.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you don't need to be running any sort of ads or spending money to actually get this information. Just having this information could really help out, like especially in like search or SEO if you're trying to figure out how to create more personalized ad copy for some search campaigns. Why not throw the insight pixel on your landing page, create a web audience for that, so you can understand what are the standout industries, what are the standout job functions, and then tailor your ad copy to that and tailor your ad or your landing page copy to that. So there's a lot you can do with this insights pixel, and it's just bonus data, and uh, take advantage of it because I mean it's right there within LinkedIn, ready to be used.
Yeah, I don't think we found a database or a data source that has had stronger firmographic match as LinkedIn. So it's just like free data, free analysis that you can use and super easy to set up through Google Tag Manager or just implementing it directly on the site. And for example, you could be learning that most of the people that are landing on your forum page or thank you page is founders, and you might, before even creating any LinkedIn campaigns, you can use that information to understand that you want to set up a campaign because these are the most engaged segments. Also, for more advanced and people who've run campaigns for a long time and you're running into roadblocks of not knowing who to test next, you can use these audience insights reports to, explore your next thing, similar to search terms. So yeah, gonna back out of here. I think we covered most of it. Any last tips to those listeners looking to set this up within their own campaign? Anything you recommend?
Really just start off at the demographics report, see if there's any of those standout personas, and then just test it out. And when you do it, just test it out fully, create that whole ad and creative experience that lines up with what that single persona campaign is. Don't just like pull it out and run it with the same creative. Really get into it and try to be as personalized as possible. And you'd be surprised what those results are going to be. So test it out.
Yeah, as with all things, test it. So I think have fun with the different targeting options you have within LinkedIn: interests, groups, traits, titles, followers of, remarketing. From the last thing I've heard, you within sponsored content, at least one ad gets, the frequency for that is once every 4 days. So it's typically best practice to have at least 4 different variants within one campaign. And you might want to have more data so that you can continually keep getting better. But that's just one tip I'd offer, is to keep things fresh, track your frequency and with your different ads, and use all these different tools that they give you to keep improving performance. But yeah, thanks, Josh, so much for joining back. Hope to have you back again and we can talk more paid media.
Yeah, right on. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, take care, everybody. Let us know, as always, if you have any questions, and yeah, see you in the next lab.